Okay, welcome to the session on files in C programming. In this session, we are going to see how to work with the files using C programming language. And we are going to discuss how to open a file, how to close a file, how to read contents from the file, how to write contents to the file, different types of files, different file modes, and finally we will see how to use command and arguments in C programming language. Okay. So before getting into the file systems, we'll see why we need files. So far you might have written number of programs where you need to read data from the console, and if you want to produce data that you need to produce on the console. So far you might have written number of programs that reads data from the console and that produce the data on the console itself. The problem with the console is once you close the console, whatever the data that you produce on the console will be erased. Once the console is closed, you cannot retrieve the data what you produce on the console. It is like a short-term memory. Okay, once the console is closed and data cannot be retrieved. These kind of applications is not suitable for very large applications. It may be suitable for small applications. And when you are working with a real-time application, you always need to store the output in a permanent storage so that you can access the data later, okay, maybe for analysis purpose. Okay, so this kind of console based input output operations is not efficient and it is not at all suitable for real-time applications. So you need a flexible approach to store and retrieve data from the files, and here it comes the use of files. Okay, the files provides you reusability, where once the data produced on the files, the data can be used in later for other applications, and you can store large amount of the data in the files. There is no limitations, and files are portable devices. That means once you write the data onto the files, the data can be transferred from one computer to another computer in a flexible way. It is in the easiest way. Next we will see different types of files. The files are categorized into two categories based on how the data is getting stored in the file. It is called as text files and binary files. In text files, the data will be stored in ASCII characters, and we humans can open the file and can read the contents of file. The data that is stored in the text files is in human readable format, and the other file is binary files. In binary files, the data will be stored in terms of ones and zeros, and it is not in human readable format. Okay, in the text files, the data will be stored in the human readable format, whereas in the binary files, the data will be stored in terms of zeros and ones like this, zeros, ones, like this. So this is not a human readable format, and you need different algorithms to read the data into human readable format. But compared to text files, the binary files are the efficient one, because the representation is very much close to system. The representation is very much close to machine language. So compared to text files, and the binary files will have the fast accessing, is an efficient way of storing the data, and depends on how you are accessing the data. The files also divided into two categories. One is sequential file and random files. In the previous slide, we discussed how to categorize the files based on how the data is storing, in what form the data is getting stored. Now we are categorizing files based on how we are accessing the data. So we are categorized into two parts. One is sequential files and random access file. If it is a sequential file, you have to access the data one after another. All the data must be accessed one after another. You cannot jump and you cannot skip certain data. So for example, if you want to access 50th record in a file, if you want to access 50th record in your file, you have to go through all the 49 records, then only you can access 50th record. For example, if you want to access 1000th record, you have to go through all the 999 records before that, then only you can access 1000th record. This is what happens with sequential files. In random access files, you need not to go through all the records one after another. Okay, there is a provision in random access file where you can jump from one location to another location. For example, assume that now you are accessing 15th record. Assume that you are accessing the 15th record, and if you want to access 45th record next, you can directly jump from 15th record to 45th record. Okay, in sequential file, you can only access the data one after another. You cannot skip any record. Whereas in random access file, you need not to access the data one after another. You can skip certain amount of data. You can move forward. You can come backward in random access file. Whereas in sequential file, you can only move forward. You cannot come backward. Okay, next we will see what are the operations that you can perform on files. Almost all the high-level programming languages support this set of operations that you can perform on files. Naming a file, opening a file, reading a file, writing a file, and closing a file. So these are the a set of operations that you can perform when you are working with the files. And when you are working with the files, three things are important. The first one is, what is the name of your file? What data structures you are using to work with the file? And for what purpose you are working with the file? The purpose in the sense whether you are writing the programs for reading from the file, or whether you are opening the file for writing purpose, or whether you are opening file for the appending purpose. Okay, so these are three things that is important. One is the name of the file, okay, with which you are working with, and the next one is what data structures you are using to work with the files, and for what purpose you are opening a file, whether it is for reading purpose or writing purpose or appending purpose. Okay, in C programming language, we are going to use a data structure called FILE to work with the files. All should be uppercase letters. Okay, these are the data structures we are going to use to work with the files. Okay, what is a file name? Okay, a file name is a string of characters that make up a valid file name for operating system. Generally, a file name contains two parts. One is the primary part, and the one is the optional part. The primary part is your actual file name, like student data, marks, reservation. So these are some of the examples for file name. It's a mandatory part. When you are working with the files, you must specify the file name. And the second optional part is extension. The extension will tell us what type of data is there inside the file. There are different extensions. The extension for C programs is .c. The extension for C++ programs are .cpp. The extension for text files is .txt. The extension for binary files is .bin. The extension for Microsoft Word is .doc or docx. The extension for audio files like MP3, for video files MP4. So these are extensions. These are all optional parts of a file name. Okay, these optional parts will tell us what type of data is there in a file. Okay, if your file contains C source code, and then file name the extension should be .c. If your file contains the source code for C++, the extension is .cpp, and if your file is an audio file, the extension is .mp3. Okay, so these are different extension: .c, .cpp, .txt, .ban, .doc, .docx, .mp3, .mp4. So these are the optional parts of a file name. Okay, the general format of opening a file. Okay, we will see what to do to open a file. To open a file, you need to follow two steps. The first step is create a pointer of file type. So this is the first step. This is the first step. The first thing you need to do is you have to create a pointer of file type. Okay, a pointer of file type. Next, you have to open the file by using a function called as fopen function. We use fopen function to open a file. Fopen function. The fopen function will take two parameters. One is the file name with exact path, and another one is opening mode. This opening mode indicates for what purpose you are opening this file, whether you are opening for reading purpose or writing purpose or appending purpose, or for all. Okay, so you need to do two steps for opening a file. The first thing is you have to create a file pointer, you have to create a pointer of file type, and you have to open the file by using a function called as fopen function, which takes two parameters. The first parameter is file name with exact path, and the second one is reading mode. Okay, for what purpose you are using, for what purpose you are writing the program. Okay, for example, if your program and the file which you are working with both are in same directory, you need not to specify the full path. You just have to specify the file name alone. So for example, like input.txt, output.txt. Okay, if your source code file and the file which you are working with both are exist in the same directory, in the same folder, you just need to specify the file name with which you would like to work. If your source code and the file both are not in the same directory, not in the same folder, you need to specify the complete path where the file exists. So like this, D drive, my programs, input.txt, like this. Okay, this is a simple file name. This is a simple file name. You can use this approach if your source code and the file which you are working with exist in the same folder. If your source code and the file which you are working with does not exist in the same folder, you must specify the complete path like this, where your file actually exists. This is an example program how to open a file. As I told you, if you want to open a file, you need to do two steps. One is create a file pointer, create a pointer of file type, and then open a file by using fopen function by passing two parameters. Okay, name of the file along with the path, and for what purpose you are opening the file. Here I have given R as opening mode, so we will discuss what is this opening modes in the next slide. Okay, you have to follow two steps. The first step is create a file pointer, create a pointer of file type, and then open a file, by using fopen function by passing two parameters. One is file name along with the path and the opening mode. Okay, being good programmer, you are supposed to verify whether the file is opened or not. There are number of reasons to say, there are number of reasons the file may not be opened. Okay, before doing any operations on file, you must verify whether the file is opened successfully or not. If the file does not open successfully, this fopen returns null. If your program is not able to open a file. There are number of reasons why the file is not able to open. The file may not be exist. The location of the file may be incorrect, and file may be protected from reading and writing. Okay, there are a number of reasons why your file is not able to open. So before doing any operations, it is a good habit to check whether the file is opened successfully or not. Okay, if the file opens successfully, it returns a pointer to that file. If the file is not opened successfully, it returns null. Okay, if it is a null, give error message and exit from the program. Okay, so this exit is a method to stop your program execution. This method is available in an header file called as stdlib. Okay, if you want to terminate your program execution, you can call exit method, which is available in stdlib.h header file. Okay. Next, we will discuss what are the different file opening modes are available. There are separate opening modes are available for text files as well as binary files. For text files, what are the modes are available for text files? What are the modes available for binary files? So we have 6 modes for text file or as well as binary files. Okay, and the modes are: if you want to open a file in reading mode, specify the mode as R. This is for reading. If it is a binary file, you just have to give an extra B. B stands for binary. If you want to open a file for writing purpose, then the mode is W for text files, WB for binary files. If you want to open a file in append mode, and the mode is A for text files, AB for binary files. Then the question is, what is the difference between write and append? The difference between write and append is, if you open the file in write mode, the previous contents will be truncated, which means if you open the file in write mode, all the previous data that is there in the file will be erased. Whatever the data you are writing now, only that data will be existed, the previous data will be erased. Whereas if you open the file in append mode, the previous contents will not be truncated, the previous content will not be erased. Whatever the content you are writing now, those contents will be added at the end of the file. Okay, so if you open a file in write mode, the previous data will be lost. Whatever the data you are writing now, only that data will be exist. Whereas if you open a file in append mode, the previous data will not be truncated. Whatever the data you are writing now, that will be added at the end of the file. Okay, next, if you want to open for both read and write purpose, this is only for reading, this is only for writing, this is only for append. If you want to open a file for both reading and writing, we have 3 different file modes. One is R plus, W plus and A plus. The same thing applies for binary files also. R plus, RB plus, WB plus, AB plus. Okay, so these 3 is for both read and write operations. I will tell you what is the difference between read plus, write plus and append plus in the next slide. Okay, so these are the 6 modes exist for text files as well as binary files. Okay, so what is a reading mode? Okay, if you open a file in read mode, the file will already exist. If you open a file in read mode, if the file already exists and it returns a pointer that points to first symbol of your file. Okay, it returns a pointer that points to the beginning of the file. Okay, if the file does not exist, it returns a null. It returns a null if the file does not exist. And the next one is writing mode. If you open the file in writing mode, if you try to open a file in writing mode, if the file already exists, it will erase the contents of that file. It will open a file by erasing the contents of that file. Okay, and the file pointer returns to the beginning of the file. Okay, if you open a file in writing mode, if the file exists, it will open a file by erasing the previous contents, and the file pointer returns to the beginning of the file. If the file does not exist, it will create a new file. Okay, the file does not exist, it will create a new file. The next one is appending mode. Okay, if you try to open a file in appending mode, if the file already exists, it will open the file without erasing the previous contents, and the pointer returns at the end of the file. Okay, if the file does not exist, it will create a new file. Okay, if you open a file in reading mode, your file pointer points to the beginning of the file. If you open the file in writing mode also, the file pointer points to the beginning of the file. Whereas if you open the file in appending mode, the file pointer points to the end of the file, so that you can add the data after the previous contents. So this is writing mode, appending mode, and reading mode. Okay, so we have 6 modes: R, W, A, R plus, W plus, A plus. Out of the 6 modes, which mode you have to choose for a particular application? Okay, we have 6 modes. Out of the 6 modes, which mode you are supposed to select for your application? Okay, we will analyze it. Okay, we have 6 modes: R, W, A, W plus, R plus, and A plus. Out of the 6 modes, which one to choose? That depends on your scenario. Okay, for example, if your objective is only read the file, simply go with the read mode R. Simply go with the read mode, which is R. Okay, if your purpose is a writing purpose, then you have 2 options. Either you can go with W, or you can go with A. If your purpose is writing, then you have to choose whether you would like to write by erasing the previous contents, or you would like to add at the end of the previous contents. If you would like to erase the previous contents and start writing fresh, go with the write mode W. If you don't want to erase the previous contents, if you want to add the content at the end, then you can go with the append mode A. If your objective is for both reading and writing, then again you have 3 options: W plus, R plus, and A plus. Okay, if you want to erase the previous contents, then go with the W plus. Okay, if you don't want to erase the content, if you want to add content to the existing file, then you can go with the either R plus or W plus. Then what to choose among the R plus and A plus? It depends on whether you would like to have a pointer at the beginning of the file, or whether you would like to have a pointer at the end of the file. If you want to have a pointer at the beginning of the file, go with the R plus. If you want to have a pointer at the end of the file, go with the A plus. Okay, these are the 6 different modes are available. Okay, if you want to do only read operations, simply go with R. If you want to do only writing, either go with the W or A. It depends on whether you would like to erase the previous contents or not. If you want to open a file for both purpose, reading and writing purpose, then you have 3 options. Again, if you want to erase the contents, go with W plus. If you don't want to erase the previous contents, go with the either R plus or A plus. Again, it depends on whether you need to have a pointer at the beginning or at the end. The next one, we will see how to close a file. It is a good habit of a programmer to close the resources after its use. If you don't want to use that file anymore, and it is a good habit to close the file so that that file is available for the remaining applications. It ensures that all the file links is broken, and it protects from accidental misuse. The main reason why we close file is, once you close the file, that file is available for other application. If you don't close the file, and that file cannot be accessible by other applications. Okay, the syntax is this. You can use a method called as, you can use a function called as fclose function to close a file. You have to pass only one parameter. That parameter is called as a file pointer. Okay, a file pointer which points the file which you would like to close. Okay, this is a simple example on how to close the file. First, open a file. Check whether the file is opened or not, and do some operations on the file. And finally, if you don't need these files anymore, just close the file by calling fclose function and pass a file pointer that points to the file which you would like to close. Okay, so this is the way how you are supposed to close a file. Okay, just call fclose function by passing the file pointer as a parameter, okay, to which you would like to close. Let's see what are the operations that you can perform on files. Okay, the operations are getC, putC, fprintf, fscanf, getW and putW. All these 6 functions is for reading and writing purpose. Okay, getC, fscanf, getW, these 3 for reading purpose. putC, fprintf and putW, these 3 for writing purpose. Okay, getC function, fscanf function, getW function. You can use these 3 functions if you want to read data from the file. In the same way, you can use putC function, fprintf function, putW function if you want to write data to the file. Okay, and this, okay, there is a difference between all these all 6 functions. I will tell you one after another. First, we will see what is getC and putC. Okay, by using this getC and putC, you can do IO operations both on console as well as files. Okay, these getC function and putC function both works for console based IO as well as file based IO. Okay, these 2 functions will handle only one character at a time. That means you can only read one character at a time. You can write only one character at a time. Okay, we'll see the syntax. Okay, the syntax of putC. Okay, the putC method, the putC function we'll take two parameters. The first parameter is what character you would like to write. What character you would like to write. Okay, you have to specify the first parameter as the character which you would like to write into the file. Okay, the second parameter is a file pointer, the pointer which points to a file. Okay, you have to pass two parameters to the putc method, putc function. The first parameter is the character that you would like to write to a file. The second one is a file pointer, okay, that indicates the respective file name. Okay, and the next method is getC method. The getC method will take only one parameter, that is called as a pointer to a file from which you would like to read data. Okay, it takes only one parameter. It takes one parameter as the file pointer and it returns one character. It returns one character. Okay, this getC method returns end of file character, returns end of file when there is no data to read. Okay, and all this getC and putc functions will move one character at a time in your file. Okay, this getC and putc function, they will move one by one character by one character. Okay, and this getC method returns end of file called EOF when there are no more contents to read. We'll see how to write a program using getC and putc. Okay, we'll see how to read or write data using getC and putc. Whether you are doing reading operation or writing operation, you first have to open a file. Okay, whether you are doing reading operation or writing operation, first you have to open a file. Okay, create a file pointer and open a file. This is the first thing you are supposed to do for every operation. You have to open a file. Okay, this is the file name. As I am going to write the data to a file, so I am opening the file in write mode. Okay, as I am going to write data to the file, I am opening the file in write mode. Okay, so what I am doing is I am going to read the contents from the console. Okay, I am going to read the console from the contents from the console, and that contents I am going to put inside the file. Okay, so I am going to, what I am doing is I am reading the contents. Here I am reading the contents from the console. Okay, here I am reading the contents from the console. Whatever I am reading, that content I am placing on my file. Okay, so whatever the input you are giving on the console, that input will be read. Okay, if you want to stop giving input to the console, you can press Ctrl Z symbol. Okay, if you want to stop giving input to the console, you have to press Ctrl Z. If you press Ctrl Z, this loop will be terminated. Okay, and once you are done writing to the file, you can close the file. Okay, by using fclose method. By using fclose method, you can close the file. To check whether the contents are properly written in the file input.txt or not. Okay, here you have written contents to your file. Now let's check whether the contents are whether the contents properly written in the file or not. Okay, so let's open the file again. Now this time open the file in read mode, because now we are going to read the data from the file. So open the file in read mode. Okay, and read all the contents from the file and put in the console, so that we can verify whether the file is already written properly or not. Okay, read contents from the file one character at a time. Read contents from the file one character at a time and put it into the console. These two will terminate when end of file is reached. This loop will terminate when there are no more data to read from the file. Okay, and once you are done reading, you have to close the file. Okay, you have to close the file. See here, I'll explain you once again. Here in this program, what we are doing is we are reading the data from the console, and that data is going to write into the file. Okay, then later we are verifying whether the data is properly written inside the file or not. Okay, first create a file pointer and open the file in write mode as you would like to write the data to the file. Then read contents from the console and put into the file. Read contents from the file and put into the read contents from the console and put into the file. This loop will terminate when you press Ctrl plus Z on the console. Okay, so when you stop feeding input, the loop will terminate. Okay, and then close the file. So what we done? We opened a file, we read the content from the console and the data put in the file, and the close file. Okay, to check whether the contents is already there in the file or not, to check whether the contents is properly placed in the file or not, let's open the file in read mode and read the contents from the file one character at a time and put in the console. Finally close the file. Okay, so this is how you are supposed to do with reading and writing files. Okay, now see what is fscanf and fprintf. Fscanf function, fprintf function both works exactly the same as very much familiar scanf and printf functions. Okay, the scanf fscanf function, fprintf function works exactly similar way how the very well known scanf and printf function works, except that it takes one extra parameter. That parameter is called as file pointer. Okay, it takes one extra parameter. And that an extra parameter is called as a file pointer. Okay, the pointer to a file on which you would like to perform read and write operations. So this is as you know, the second one is a format specifier, and next one is a arguments. Okay, this is an example. Okay, the first parameter is a file pointer. The first parameter is a file pointer, followed by format specifiers, followed by variables. Okay, this printf function, scanf function works exactly in a similar way as scanf and printf. The only extra thing here is you need to pass the first parameter as the file pointer, okay, on which you would like to work. The next set of functions is getW and putW functions. This getW and putW functions is to work only with the integers. Okay, this getW function is to read one integer from the file, and the putW function is to write one integer to the file. Okay, and we'll see the syntax of these two files. We'll see the syntax of these two functions. Okay, the getW function takes one parameter as the getW function takes one parameter, that is nothing but file pointer, and it returns an integer. Okay, if there are no more integers to read in a file, it returns end of file. Okay, if there are no more contents available in a file, it returns end of file. Okay, in the same way, putW method is to write one integer to a file. Okay, it takes two parameters. One is what integer you would like to write and in which file you would like to write. It takes two parameters. One is an integer, what you would like to write, and the next one is a file pointer. Okay, to in which file you are going to write it. Okay, and or when you are working with getW and putW, the file pointer move one integer position at a time. Okay, for example, if the size of integer is 4 bytes, okay, these getW and putW functions will make your file pointer move 4 bytes at a time. If the size of integer is 2 bytes, this getW and putW functions will make your file pointer move 2 bytes at a time. Okay. Okay, next we'll see how to write programs using getW and putW. Okay. So what we are going to do is, we are going to write digits from 10 to 15 in a file by using putW function, and then we are going to read the data from the file to check whether we properly written in the file or not. Okay, what we are going to do is, we are going to write digits from 10 to 15 in a file by using putW method, putW functions. Then to check whether the data is written into the file correctly or not, we are going to read the data from the file by using the getW function. So as usual, first open a file, create a file pointer and open a file. Now here I am going to work with the binary files. So my file opening mode is WB. As now I would like to work with the binary files. So when you are working with the binary files, you have to give 1 W extra for opening mode. Okay. Open a file in write mode, as you are going to write the data to the file. Next, write digits from 10 to 15 into a file. Write the digits from 10 to 15 in the file by using putW method. Okay. So what this putW method will do is, putW method will write all the integers from 10 to 15 inside a file pointed by F1. Okay, inside a file pointed by F1. Once you are done with writing, you can close the file. Okay, the file is closed. The file is closed. To check whether the content is properly written in the file or not, what you can do is, you can open the file and check whether the contents are properly written or not by reading the data from the file. Okay, open a file in read mode now. So it is RB, it is not R, it is RB, as we are working with the binary files. Open a file in read mode, and okay, here what we are doing is, here we are not just going to read the data, we are going to find the sum of the integers. We are going to find the sum of the integers that are there in the file. Okay, read one integer at a time and add it to the sum. Okay, read one integer at a time and add it to the sum. Read one integer at a time and add it to the sum. Read one integer at a time and add it to the sum. Okay, so this loop will keep repeating until the data is finished in your file. When your file pointer reaches to end of the file, this loop will be terminated. Okay, and it prints the sum. Okay. So what we are doing in this program is, we are going to write integers from 10 to 15 in a binary file using putW method, putW function. Then we are going to read all those integers from the file using getW function and perform addition of all the numbers. Okay. First, create a file pointer, open a file, and read and write all the contents one after another, write all the numbers one after another into a file, then finally close the file. So reading part is finished. Now what we have to do, we have to perform addition of all the numbers. So for that one, first you have to open a file, read one integer at a time and add it to the sum. Read one integer at a time and add it to the sum. Okay, it performs sum of all the numbers in the given file, and this loop will terminate when you reach the end of the file. When you reach the end of the file, finally print the sum. Okay, so this is the way how you are supposed to work with the binary files. Here it is not R, it is RB. It is RB as I am working with the binary files. If you want to work with the text files, then you can do the same thing. You just have to change the mode, W and R. Okay. Next, what are the, when you are working with the files, what are the possible errors that can occur when working with the files? When you try to open a file, the file may not be open. The reasons may be the file may not be exist, the path you are specifying may not be correct, or the file you would like to open is write protected or read protected. Okay, these are some of the errors that you will get when you are trying to open a file, and you will get some other errors like reading the data beyond the file. Okay, like that. Okay, we will see how to handle these errors. Okay, so if you want to handle the errors when opening a file, it is a good habit all the times to check whether a file is opened properly or not before doing any operations on the file. It's a good habit of a programmer to check properly whether the file is opened or not before doing any operations or not. If the file is successfully opened, it returns a pointer to the file. If the file is not opened successfully, it returns a null character. So after opening a file, you have to check whether the file is opened properly or not. If the file is not opened properly, you are not supposed to do any operations on the file. You can come out of the execution. This is the one way how you can handle errors that occurs during file opening. To check whether we reach the end of file or not, we have a function called FEOF. We have a function called FEOF function. This FEOF function will take the file pointer as a parameter. It takes the file pointer as a parameter and it returns true if you reach the end of the file. Okay, this fEndOf function takes the file pointer as input as a parameter. It will return true if the file pointer is reached end of the file. Otherwise, it will not return true. Okay, and there is one more file called as ferror file to check the operation is leading to any errors or not without terminating your program. Okay, this ferror function returns true if there is any error that can be caused. Okay, it returns true if the error is caused, otherwise it returns false. Okay, and it takes one parameter, a file pointer. Okay, you can use any one of these functions based on your need. One is to find out whether you reach the end of file or not, you can use FEOF function. To check whether there is any error occurred during the operations, you can use ferror functions. Both returns true. Okay, it returns true if end of file is reached. It returns true if there is an error occurred while doing operations. Otherwise, it returns false. So far, we discussed about the sequential files, where you need to work with you need to access the data sequentially one after another. Now we will see a random access file where you don't need to access the data one after another. For example, the drawback of sequential file is you have to go one by one, okay, symbol by symbol. For example, if you want to access 50th record, before accessing the 50th record, you have to access first 49 records, then only you can go with the 50th record. Whereas In random access file, you can simply jump, okay, from one location to another location. Okay, starting from the right from the beginning of the file, you can jump to the 40th symbol, 100th symbol, or 200th symbol. You can jump wherever you want. You can move forward, and you can come even the backward by using the functions provided by random access file. The one such kind of function is fseek function. This fseek function will take three parameters. One is a file pointer. Next one is how many number of positions you would like to jump to the forward direction or backward direction. Next one is whence. Okay, it is nothing but from which position you would like to jump. Whether you would like to jump from the current position, or you would like to jump from the beginning of the file, or you would like to jump from the end of the file. Okay, it takes three parameters. The first one is file pointer. The second one is how many number of positions you would like to jump or skip. Third one is it specifies whether you would like to jump from the current position or the beginning of the file or from the end of the file. Okay, so you have to give one of these three constants in place of third parameter. You have to give one of these three you have to give one of these three constants in place of third parameter. Okay, to indicate the current position, you have to use seek cur. Okay, seek underscore cur. If you want to jump from the beginning, you have to give seek set. If you want to jump from the end of the file, you can use seek underscore end. You have to give only one of these three constants. Okay, to specify the beginning of the file, use seek underscore set. To specify the current position, use seek underscore cur. To specify the end of the file, use seek underscore end. Okay, so this is an example. Okay, this second parameter you can give as a positive value or negative value. Okay, you can give a positive value or negative value. If you give positive value, it jumps to the forward direction. If you give a negative value, it jumps to the backward direction. For example, if you give this value as 10, it jumps 10 symbols to the forward direction. If you give minus 10, it jumps 10 positions backward direction. Okay, based on whether you want to move to the forward direction or backward direction, you have to give plus positive value or negative value. See here, this is an example. Okay, so here your file pointer jumps m positions starting from the current position. Here your file pointer jumps m positions backward starting from the current position. Okay, and two more functions provided by random access file is ftell function and frewind function. Ftell function is to specify in which position you are. Okay, ftell function is to specify at what position currently you are there. Okay, ftell function returns an integer, specifies in which position currently your file pointer is there. You can use this. Okay, you can use ftell function for knowing the position of your file pointer. Assume that you are in the middle. Assume that your file pointer is in the middle, and if you want to come to the beginning, you can use rewind function. The rewind function is used to come back to the beginning of the file. Okay. The last topic is command line arguments. So far you might have learned so many programs about how to pass data to your functions. By using command line arguments, you can even pass data to the main function through console. Okay, so far you might have written so many number of programs on functions. You might have passed so much of data to the functions. If you want to pass data to the main function, you can also do that with the help of command line arguments. Okay, and you can pass the data through console. So this is an example. Okay, so after compiling the program, while executing the program, okay, whatever the data you pass here, that data will be passed as a command line arguments. Generally what we'll do, we'll compile our C programs like this: cc filename.c. Generally we compile our programs by using this command cc space filename.c. After compiling, we will execute our programs like this: ./a.out. This is for compiling and this is for execution. If you want to pass any data to the main function, you have to specify the data here, like 10, 20, 30. All this data will be passed to the main function as a parameter. So this is a parameter 1, this is parameter 2, parameter 3, and parameter. Okay. All these 4 values will be passed to the main function as a parameters. Okay. This is value 1, value 2, value 3, and value 4. Okay, you have to change your main function little bit to make it compatible for command line arguments. Okay, you have to change the header of your main function a little bit to make it comfortable with the command line arguments. Okay, you have to add 2 parameters. One is of integer type, another one is of an array of characters. Okay, an array of character pointers. You have to give 2 extra parameters to the main function to make it compatible with the command line arguments. The first one is an integer type and the second one is an array of character pointers. The first argument will store the count, how many arguments you are passing, and all the arguments will be stored in the second parameter. Okay, and the second parameter is an array of values. The first value is your program name. Okay, so this is an example. So first compile your program. Once the program is compiled, you can execute the program. Okay, and while executing the program, I am passing 3 more extra parameters: 1, 2, and 3, and 4. If you want to pass any parameter to the main function, you can do that when you are executing the program. Okay, so I am passing 4 extra parameters. One is to, join, leave, and 6. So totally 5, including this. All these 5 will be stored. in this array, and the count will be stored in argc. ./a.out, to, join, leave, 6. All these 5 will be stored in array, and the count. Okay, the count 5 will be stored in argc. Okay, so what I am doing? I am printing all the values inside array. So how many values are there? The number of values are equivalent to argc. So this is the output: 2, join, leave, 6. Okay. So in this session, so we covered these topics. What is a file? What is the need of a file? What are different types of files available? What are the different operations that you can perform on a file? Okay, sequential files, random access files. Okay, and we discuss command line arguments. Okay, thank you for your presence.